Everyone already, where does it go? Don't ask me. I don't set the clock. Okay, recording is in progress. Thank you very much indeed, James. Okay, Thursday already, as I said, and we are looking back a little bit, then we're going to look forward a little bit, and then we're going to have a quiz, and then we're going to get forward a little bit more. Those of you joining us the first time, welcome. It's good to have you on board. Thank you for your attendance. I hope you get something out of the show. Do not hesitate to put questions in the chat box because it is your show. After all, it's called Trading Buddies for a reason. We're all here to share. And if you've got ideas, then please share them with us. No problem at all. Sorry, I just got a message there that sidetracked me. I'm easy sidetracked. Okay, first up, what we do on a day-to-day basis is have a look at the pound versus the US dollar to see indeed if we can trade a breakout of the current range. Now, that current range for some of you will seem a little, oh, he's in early, look out.
I'm in early, mate.
Could be a trade happening.
Yeah, I think there will be a trade on the FTSE this morning. I think there's going to be a short. We haven't really got a signal yet because the market hasn't opened. But I wonder whether it might be something that we might need to just be aware of.
Okay, well we'll defer to you first.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
Mate, I reckon you've got some bang quiz questions coming up later.
Oh, the quiz is great today. I'm really looking forward to it.
We're missing John because we had to do a lot of work, but yeah, it's a little bit different today.
It is a little bit different. Now, let me just make sure I can share my screen over here. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? There you are, I think. Oh no, is that right? Oh no, this should be better. This should be better. Okay.
G'day, Paul P.
Still getting used to my my new system setup here. Here we go. Right, here's the FTSE.
Mine's 15 years old and I'm not used to it
yet. So here's the FTSE here, mate, and I just think that we are going to be coming down today. Now, the question is when and where. So there's a little trend line there. This is a 5-minute chart. There's the trend line. It would be really, we want to see price under here if we're going to take it in this area. If not, then I'm just going to be initiating it at the highs, probably. We need to wait just for a little while longer. But, you know, prices struggled to get through this a couple of times. Now, if I think about why I'm looking for the short today, it's purely because we are getting a pretty stellar earnings season so far. You know, we've had quite a few companies right across the board come out and say that they are posting better than expected profits and balance sheets. So that is obviously a positive sign. You know, it's a really positive sign to kind of see that. However, today we have CPI data. Now, the CPI data could dictate what the next action of the Fed is going to be. And does that mean the next action is going to be a 0.25 interest rate hike? Does it mean it's going to be a 0.5 interest rate hike? That's the first thing to consider. The second thing to consider is how many interest rate hikes. Now, because there's considerations going on, I think that there might be some profit taking here. And the reason that I think there's going to be some profit taking is that the interest rate hikes will affect the profits that we are now seeing from companies. So that they are posting better than expected numbers, which is fantastic. But I just wonder whether you know, traders and investors might say, okay, this may be the last hurrah. This might be the last time we get these types of numbers from many of these companies that are interest rate hike or higher interest rate susceptible. You know, if those interest rates rise too much, their profit line is going to be susceptible. So I'm looking at the shorts in the FTSE. Subsequently, I think that there could well be a short in the Nasdaq and the S&P as well. Nasdaq having a great run. Looks like it may well get to that monthly pivot now. So, you know, again, this could be a possibility. Just early doors. I'm not saying that this is where the market turns. I'm just saying that early doors, I wonder whether there might be just enough nervousness out there for some people to take some profit. So I'll come back to you if and when I take the trade, mate. But just to be aware, I'm looking at the shorts right now. All I now need is some messaging to suggest that my presumption is correct.
Okay, cool. Thanks, mate. Let's go back to the pound then and see what we can see if there's worthy of our attention for a breakout, as we now have an open in London session. The last candle of pre-London session has bang on sat on the resistance trade line that we have in place here. Now, we are already in a breakout trade from Monday, which turned out not to be a breakout, as a lot of them do. They tend to be false often. And what happened here was we were trading, there's Monday there. We traded the breakout of Friday's high and Friday's low, basically, as it turned out, because we had price all the way inside that. We got tipped into
shorts
that.
Are in, mate. Sorry, buddy.
Yep,
shorts are
right.
in. The shorts are in.
Do you need it back?
Oh, we could come back to me if you like.
Yeah, we've got tons of time here. Tons.
Okay, great stuff. Sorry, it's a bit manic. Where are we at? Here we go. Come here. Okay. Gosh. This is why I wanted to tell you guys before, because I knew I'd have to juggle and whatever else. But my short is taken anyway. Let me just see if I can share this again. We're there. Okay, so I've taken the short. Now the thing really that happened, you can just see this started to break down, and then we had a move back into this area here. So mine were a little bit late, but not a big deal, because what I'm now aiming for is just a little move down to this area here. So that's going to be my target there. It looks like you got some time if you want to get involved. Now, I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying this is what I am doing. If it pops up again, I'm taking it again. I think there's enough messaging today to suggest that we are coming down. Shell down around about 0.5%. Unilever down 3.5%, and nothing is up. AstraZeneca maybe up around about 2%, but UK is opening up. It's locked down, completely out of lockdown in about 2 weeks. Not sure how that's going to affect the AstraZeneca shares, but it might actually, it could go either way in many respects. But I'm seeing enough negativity out there to suggest that we are coming down, mate. So I think we clear the pivot. You can see that the pivot is an obvious bounce area, but I think we could well clear this pivot today, and we come down to this point here. So I'm looking for the bottom of the pattern, which would actually create a little bit of an M-topping pattern up here as well. As I say, if it goes up here, I am taking another short. Let me just make sure I'm prepared for this. So the next short is going to be up to this point. No point in taking it here. It's a little bit too close, but at the top of the pattern, it does look really good. So so I'll be taking that one on board. But there we go, mate. The shorts are in.
Right, bud. Happy days. Let's go back to the pound. And as I was saying, already in the breakout of Monday's range, if you like, the low of which was here. That's where we got into the market. Didn't last too long. I thought we were pretty safe in there, frankly. If we break below the monthly pivot, then we would go on with the job. Hasn't been the case to date, but really we've seen no price action since. A little bit of rally, tried to take out this level here, failed, and now we're back underneath that trade line. I'm okay to hold here for that reason. We're also underneath the daily pivot at this stage. I think if we got to close above the daily pivot on a bigger time frame, which won't be now until what, we've got another 2 hours to go nearly. I think we've got to close above here. It'd be time to get out of this one, but hanging on for the moment. Now the range today would be yesterday's range, the high of which is here, and the low of yesterday plus today, which is here. So I think I can pretty quickly dismiss this one for what is to me a clear reason. Clear reason being we'd be trading straight back into this strong support area, which has got 3 levels, in round about the same place. One here, one here, one here. So that would be a no for me. Hoping, of course, that it does break and take our Monday trade into profit. And if that were the case, happy days. There's no need to double up here. If we were to trade to the high side, our risk becomes about 8 pips plus that, so 74 pips. And our reward before we hit resistance is only 27. We're looking for 1-to-1 before we take those trades. So it's a no for me today on the pound breakout trade. Again, if you were following this one from Monday, I would counsel that if we get a 4-hour close above the daily pivot, it's time to get out of here and just take the small loss. All right, that's the pound for the day. Let's put it to bed. A lot of things going on. Those of you in the Telegram group would have got the Aussie trade that we took on, when did we take this? Yesterday? Yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. I'll have to review that. Which candle did I trade? That one. No, it was the day before, so Tuesday. We got into this on Tuesday. And those of you who are in Slingshot know, or in the Slingshot know, would know why we took this trade. It's called a dominator. And a little bit disappointed that we didn't get in down here, frankly. But in is good as anything. So we're in this one, and it does look to have legs. I think the next level is probably going to be in this vicinity.
Second short is in, mate.
Happy days. So we've got a fair way to go here. DR2 today looks like a take profit area to me. So I'll be certainly updating that in the Telegram group if it doesn't hit there in this session, which is, well, it's unlikely, but it could happen. You just never know. Let's consult the dollar index whilst we're doing that, because this will have a lot to do with how the Aussie and indeed the pound perform. What I'm seeing here is a logjam, and we knew this was going to happen because of all the resistance and support levels. You've got a support trade line coming through here. You've got the bottom of a channel through here. You've got a horizontal level coming across there, and you've got a resistance trade line all in this area. And that's why I love this area. I'm really, really watching it like a hawk, because from here, I would expect something huge to happen, fast and furious, once it does break out of here. Now, it's already had one false break each side, false break here, false break here. That may well continue until we get something from a fundamental or news aspect that drives this. It may be the CPI figures, and probably that's what the market's waiting on right now. So a little bit tough to get into the market just yet if you're trading against the dollar. But if you are in, I think you could just get a nice old ride. We'll see how that all pans out. Kind of got a hedge going here, I guess, with the pound short and the Aussie long. I've got more invested in the Aussie long than I have in the pound short. So let's hope that can continue on. Speaking of which, the Aussie is pretty strong across the board. Aussie Yen, again, we chose to take Aussie dollar over Aussie Yen on Tuesday, but they were exactly the same trade. Again, a dominant break of a trade line, and it was pretty easy just to jump on that, I guess. They're always easy when you can see the result, but this was a clear dominator break of the trade line, as was Aussie Swissy. Aussie Swissy, we spoke about. I'm not sure we spoke about it here on Monday, but we certainly spoke about it in the Slingshot Q&A group just after the Monday show, and we were really looking to trade this long, but very, very difficult to time it, of course. But once it did break, once again, it gave us a dominant break of a trade line. There was a trade line coming through here, and that was your entry. So Aussie looks very, very strong at the moment. I've got a couple of things that I want to trade. One of them is pound yen. Now, pound yen has been tickling the top of this rectangular range here, or box range, if you like, around about the 156 mark, 156 and a half, moving up to 157. Still waiting on a significant lower high here, but it doesn't form. The weekly chart, it hasn't formed, of course, because it's going to take a fair while for that to happen. We got a candle this morning that I looked at, and I looked at hard, and I thought, oh, gee, that looks okay. I wish it had a green body on it. It's still there, guys, if you're interested, but this is potentially the lower high on a re-entry into this range. We had a beautiful bounce off the monthly pivot and another bounce off the monthly pivot that hasn't kind of got the same legs that this one did. As you can see, very, very clear there, bullish move up. Hasn't taken out the highs yet, however, and this could well be the lower high here. So if you're of a mindset, and there are a couple of reasons I didn't take this morning. One was that I'm already exposed to the pound short and have nothing in the bank on that one yet. So I'm at risk, and I'd be doubling up on that risk if I did take that trade. Now, that said, if I can get out of the pound dollar trade, I'd be happy to jump into this one. So entry below the candle, stop loss above, I think that's still there for the taking. And there's a pretty clear take profit level here, either at that horizontal level, which is 155.75, or the weekly pivot, or just above it would be my counsel. Would like to be in this, to be fair. And if the high is taken out, then there's no trade. But I'm, again, looking at that very, very closely. Euro pound, we've been chasing for, 2 or 3 weeks now and trying to get into this. It's now changed again. Been following this broadening price pattern and trying to trade it off the bottom to the top of the bottom, and somewhat frustratingly, it just won't set up for us. It now looks as though we might have a false break of the top of that broadening pattern, because we've come back underneath and we've retested it with that bar there yesterday. Too tough to trade that, because you're trading straight into an untested weekly pivot. And don't forget, we're looking for the longs here, having come back into the range. But if I did see a nice low test bar sitting on that weekly pivot, and it had a nice little red body, something like that, then I'd be very, very interested in placing a trade there, and taking some profit here maybe, or just before the high, to get safe in the market. Euro pound, still watching that closely. Euro dollar. Now today we had, as is typical of euro dollar, we've got a very, very clear support and resistance area. And at this point in time, it looks as though we've broken that. I don't know that I'd like to trade that as a dominator, to be honest, because you're trading straight into this immediate resistance area. So that doesn't look good to me as a trade. It's got to get through this level. I think I'd prefer to be trading it short, to be honest. But the reason for that, and yes, it's, time and time again, and if you ever take notice of this, I'd advise you to keep your eye on it. When you've got 3 breakouts that are higher highs, and they all turn out to be false, the almost beautiful result of that is that it's going to break the range that they're trying to go long from to the downside. Now, often it won't go too far, but if you take it to the next support level, then if you can pick up a trade from up here somewhere, you'll be looking pretty fancy. That's been the case again on euro dollar. So keep that one in your little black book. I think it's a very, very excellent way to trade. Only mini reversals. If you get really lucky, you can get a full reversal, but just trade it down to the next support level. Obviously the same from the bottom side. 3 false breaks getting lower is a very, very good signal. The ones I haven't mentioned, Swissy Yen. Yeah, Swissy Yen, because, well, it's a multiple. If you look at the big picture on Swissy Yen, you can see that we're at the top of the channel here, having been in a bull run for quite some time, back to 2019. So it's been running hot for quite some time. Now we have come back inside that range on the monthly chart. Weekly chart is giving me a retrace, potential for this to go long. The beautiful part about this is if that fails, then we've got a very clear lower high in here. And if you go to the daily chart now, we could have a clear false break as well. Love to see this fail. Couple of bars of consolidation above here would be good. Get back underneath, maybe hit the weekly pivot, come back and retest the top of that range. And I think there's your trade short. Of course, that's looking like next Wednesday or Thursday before that would set up on a daily chart, but it may well set up earlier than that on a smaller time frame. So the 4 hours is of interest. A bit messy on that trade line, but it isn't a 4-hour trade line, don't forget. I'd like to see, pardon me, something a little clearer than that, and I don't see it at this point. I could draw a trade line across here, I suppose, and look for a false break of that. But we're really going back nearly a month in time. And on a 4-hour chart, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I wouldn't be using that. I want something a little bit closer to the market. Can I go down to the smaller time frames and find something that is of interest? Look, maybe. At this point in time, there's nothing, but I've got to see something of resistance break and be false broken before I can trade it. But very, very much on my watch list. Like I say, it may take some time for this to pan out. But if it does, and this becomes a false break, I think you've got a fair bit of downside to take a look at. Is there another? Yes, Cad Yen, because it's at a resistance level as well. Have a look at the bigger picture here on Cad Yen. It's a little bit messy, to be fair, but we are seeing a lower high. If that holds, then this resistance trade line becomes of interest to me. You could call it a double top on a daily if you want. I'd love to see a false break here, and that's what I'll be looking for. So again, break, hit that resistance area, pull back underneath the daily and the monthly, it'd be beautiful. Hit that there, and you can trade it aggressively from there, or more conservatively rather, from underneath the monthly pivot. So as far as the 30 minutes are concerned, we will keep our eye on the euro. And if it does come back under here, we'll look to trade it. But at this point, it looks to be full of running, and the dollar doesn't look to be in favour at this point in time, Ash.
No, very interesting, mate. And and the FTSE's actually burst out to the upside, which is, oh, hey, Paul, I think you've direct messaged me. Yeah, FTSE's burst out to the upside, which is interesting. Don't see enough yet to suggest that's going to hold yet. And this is the thing. I mean, I don't know if you want me to flip back to my chart real quick, but
by all means, mate.
Let's have a look at this, because the thing is, this is where I now need to make a decision about hedging. I've got one left, basically. So the question I've got to now ask myself. There we go. Hopefully you can see my chart there okay.
Yep.
Let's move it to these just so it's a bit cleaner. Yeah, I've got one left. I've got one position left that I can take. Now, the question I've got to ask myself is the area that I took my last position going to hold right here? Is this going to hold? Because if this holds, then really what I should be doing is hedging here. You know, if I'm wrong, and it's possible that you know, what's been focused on is the fact that the UK economy is about to open up, you know, pretty significantly, you know, with restrictions being taken away almost completely. So it's possible that that's why we're getting the burst of the upside in the FTSE. So I've got to try and surmise here. If this is going to hold here, then I should be going long and taking the hedge. Difficult one, really, because of my, you know, the way that I'm thinking about this. But if it's not going to hold, I mean, I've got two choices. I either take a pass on this and don't take the hedge, because what I don't want is to be basically trading at the highs. You know, when you look at this, I don't want to be trading long at the highs. So when you look at this, you can see that the dailies up here are, you know, we're at a pretty long run. This is since September 2020. We're on a pretty long run. There's this trend line going right up here, and it could be that it stops somewhere around about here. So I've got a choice. I either hedge it to that particular point, which is a little bit dangerous. I hold on and look for it to come down from here, or I wait until it goes up there and then take my final short position. So I'm just going to watch the messaging here and see what I need to do, mate. Because I'm not against a hedge. In fact, there is one other option. I don't hedge. I just flip completely. So I take the hedge, level these two out, and then actually load into the upside instead. So I've got to watch it here and just see whether that is the best answer. But at this stage, I think I'm going to leave it be. Whoops, don't want to do that. At this stage, I'm just going to leave it be and see if I can get just a little bit clearer on what's likely to happen next. I think my problem, mate, really here is that I think the market ultimately is going to weaken at some point today. So I don't really want to take the long on. But of course, if the message change and the technicals change, then sometimes you just have to do that and just accept it. But the market really did change quite aggressively. Unilever was down nearly 4% when we opened. It's only down 3% now, so it's already recovered 1%. But I'm just seeing a little bit of weakness coming in with some of these oil markets, and it just depends on whether that changes around here. So let's give it some time, mate. At this stage, it looks okay, doesn't it? To hold on and see it. What I've done now is, of course, with the move now up, the first contact. Yes, it's here, but because I'm already here, my new first contact is at the daily pivot, so I can move this up because I've basically doubled up positions here. So I've just changed the first contact to daily pivot instead. But it's going to take a little while before I get some clear messaging. But you can see that look at the 5. Look at that. That is a negative looking bar.
Yep.
So the messaging suggests that this may well be a false breakout, but I'm yet to get clear about it, mate. So I'm just going to hang on for a little while. I'll keep you updated. At this stage, it's leave it be. Change the targets to a little bit higher, but leave it be and don't do anything just yet.
All right, mates. We'll do a couple more things before we go to quiz time, and not least of which I wanted to talk about. Goodness me, where's it gone? Dollar yen. I hate dollar yen because it's such a beast to catch. Actually, I'll go through the whole lot of these, going back to Monday when we had weekly game changer bars. But this was one of them. In fact, this was a game changer plus bar. Those of you who've got no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. What a game changer bar actually is and represents is a potential reversal of momentum. And what we actually get in this instance was the week before's candle was a game changer bar because its low was lower than the previous week and it closed on or near its high, as this one did. Now, that's in and of itself is a signal, but it has to have context, and the context comes from primary trend, basically. I don't think we could really argue that we're not in a primary uptrend at this point. So that makes sense to trade there. That makes sense to have the bias of long in your mind. Doesn't make sense to me to trade there because we're trading with that much risk. So you're trading that candle and you're trading straight into the high here. Makes no sense. The reward to risk is abysmal. Then you get an inside bar on the back of that, and that is a far better signal and far more risk to reward friendly. However, to my mind, we are still bang on top of that resistance level. So you'd have to enter the market there. You'd have to put your stop loss there. So you've got 155 pips of risk, 61 pips of gain before you hit the high, which you would imagine might offer some form of resistance. It may not, but it generally would. And I can see the pace of this slowing down a little bit as well. So it's just not a trade for me. But that in a beautiful context is something that I like to trade and love to trade it often. But it doesn't pop up that much, and that's a bit of a shame. G'day, Lewis. How you doing? The other weekly game changer bar was Euro Pound, and that's one of the reasons we've been trying to get into this. But again, look at the massive bar that we were presented with last week. That took it right from the bottom of that broadening pattern right through the top of it, bang on last month's monthly pivot. And we were screaming for a retracement on that to the weekly pivot, perhaps. And then we were going to look to trade it long up to here with a friendly candle. Look, I'm still of that opinion, as I said. Did we get a game changer bar since? The answer is no, we haven't. So we're just waiting on this to hit the weekly pivot, really, and then give us the signal that we need. So that's still there. They were the only two. Kiwi Swissy was also a game changer bar on the weekly. And there it is. Game changer bar to the high side. Not perfect, this one, because it has come off, or it did come off its high, but lower than the previous, closed on or near its high, maybe. That one certainly has proved its worth at this point. Bang on a resistance level here now. Maybe there's a little bit of a scalp backwards as a retracement there, but you've also got to concede that you couldn't take this given the rules which state that the primary trend has to be in agreement to your game changer bar. I don't think that that's the case. I think the primary trend is short, frankly, and for that reason, there would be no way I could take that. That said, now if we get the reversal scenario, which of course is your usual candle patterns, double bottom, inverted head and shoulders, bullish engulfing bar, something of that nature. Do you see one? I do. There's one right there. There's also a bit of a double bottom. There's also a hint of an inverted head and shoulders, which may pan out if price were to come back here. Looks full of steam at the moment, I've got to say, and it has got to close above the monthly pivot, which tends to suggest that it may find further highs. I would be inclined to go with the primary trend here and look for this to come back. So that would be my bias at this point, not to go long, but to come back short and maybe back to the monthly pivot area. But there's nothing there at the moment to trade. But they were the signal candles, if you like, as we went into the week, as was dollar yen that we've been through. This morning, I thought there were 1, 2, 3 game changer bars. Eurocad was the first of them. Now, anybody who has been following Ash and myself for any length of time will know that Eurocad is one of my pets that I really, really enjoy trading short. Once again, we've got a broadening price pattern here. Something there, something there. Maybe it's through there. We can trade that as a chart pattern, but right at the moment we're in the middle of it, having come off the bottom. Maybe there's a little bit of more room to the upside. I'll be waiting for that to get to the upside, frankly. If I were to have a bias short term, it would probably be long, but I'm not keen to trade this long at any time because of the major price patterns, which are very, very clear. This is going into, in my mind, a sustained downtrend. Has been in one for a long time. We're in this trade for nearly 12 months, as a matter of fact, before we got out back here somewhere. So I'm still looking for downside on this. So top of this range, the broadening pattern at around about, sorry, that was supposed to be a horizontal level. Not far from where we are probably makes sense to me. So anything that looks like a false break up here, I'd like to see some downside. That was Eurocad. There were 2 others, pound yen and pound US dollar, both of which I've got charts here. Pound yen we've already talked about. That is a clear game changer bar. And as I said, I wish I wasn't involved in pound US dollar because I'd much rather be involved in this short at this point in time. Pound US dollar was the other. And there was a game changer plus bar, pound CAD, which I do have a chart for. No, I don't. Pound CAD, game changer plus, but gee, look at that. That's the monthly chart we're looking at there. So definitely in consolidation the last 100 years, it would appear. Here's the game changer bar, just higher. Oh, game changer plus, sorry. This one just higher than that one. Very, very similar to dollar yen that we saw on the weekly chart, right? So we've got a bar that is lower low than the previous, closed on or near its high, above the weekly pivot. That may be significant. Then we've had an inside bar, which is really a retest as well, or almost a double cross really of the weekly pivot. I am bias short on this cross, but I can see that this may want to go long here and give us a true lower high. At the moment, I don't see a true lower high, which is why I can't trade it short. At the moment, I'm willing to give that away, that trade, which suggests we go long, game changer bar to the long side. That's the one you want to trade. But again, risk to reward's pretty poor there. And if I see a lower high in here, that's when I'll jump on this, but it won't be long. It'll be short, most definitely. The oil price will have probably something to say about that. Has come off a little, gone into consolidation. I think there's no trade here to be had for mine anyway. On oil at the moment, weekly pivot's very, very interesting. The range that we're currently in is very, very interesting. Already had a false break to the high side. Maybe this is a second. Maybe it's a breakout. Who knows? I can't tell. But that's going to have a lot to say with the pound CAD. So, mate, it's really a waiting game on all of those. But gee, there's some opportunities coming if they do set up. That is the big question at this point. In the meantime, let's ride the Aussie and see how far we can go with that.
Yeah, good job on that one, mate. Okay, sounds good to me. Well, should we get to the quiz, mate?
I think we'll do the quiz.
Okay. Now I've got direct messages to me. Have you got direct messages to you?
No.
Okay, because I didn't see Lewis's message.
Oh, actually, I do. Yes, they're all direct messages. Can I change that?
I think everybody can change them. So make sure when you write two, make sure the two boxes got everyone in it rather than just Jeff or I. Otherwise, we won't see your answers, and we all want to see the answers, right?
Yeah, she's a bit curly today, guys.
Okay, right.
Sharpen your pencils.
Sharpen the pencils, exactly. Now I'm going to move that over there, so I'm not looking at it so intently. I think the FTSE looks all right. I think I can manage that later on if needs be. Okay. Now, what the way maybe we'll do it then? I'll do the first few, and I'll read your ones. I slightly changed the wording on some of them of yours.
You what?
I wasn't sure if I understood them, so I thought I'd better change it.
Well, you might have changed the meaning.
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Could be interesting.
Okay. Now, how can I do this? What I don't want to do.
So, guys, those of you in the room and those of you on YouTube as well, you can put your answers in the chat box. One day we're going to have a prize for this, so this is a good practice session. Haven't worked out what the prize. Oh, we have. It's kind of going to be NFT. But we're working.
Yeah, eventually. Actually, let me do this a different way. That's okay. Let's share that one instead. How does that look? That looks better, doesn't it?
Looks like Einstein's blackboard, mate. Yeah.
Right. So quiz done by Ash and Jeff. Right now, the one only direct messages, not everyone's choice. Paul can't do on everyone's choice. Why not?
I don't know. If I could do something about that, I would.
Where's James when you need him?
Let me see if I can. He's busy.
No, okay. I can do it so I can message everyone.
Recordings on his account and everyone in the meeting can see and save messages sent to it. Only you and those you chat to. So I don't think I can do anything.
You can't do anything.
Participant can chat with host and co-host. Everyone, hang on. How now, guys?
Is that better? Jeff done the biz?
I did something. It may have been illegal, but I did it. Yep, we're good.
All righty. Right then, so quiz time by Ash and Jeff. Now, the first 4 questions have got an answer, and the 5th question is, what is the link between all the answers? And then the next 3 questions have an answer, and again, the 4th of that one is, what is the link? So we're in 2 parts, okay? So question 1 is, so Jeff and I have done this a slightly different way, and I've borrowed this idea. I was going to say stolen, but I borrowed this idea from a guy that I really like to watch one of his quiz, a guy called Jay on YouTube. He's brilliant. It's called a connections round. Now, question 1. In 1984, Stephen King released a book about a car. What was it called? What was it called? And we'll do the answers at the end. We're not going to do the answers after every question. Question 1. In 1984, Stephen King released a book about a car. What was it called? Don't worry if you can't get the first one. If you get the connection. Okay, Lewis has put kids. If you can't get them, not a problem, because when you come back to the connection, you should be able to answer them again. Question 2. What drink is known as the original Irish cream? What drink is known as the original Irish cream? Lewis, you're still on direct message. What? Paul's got brandy. Okay. Not many answers. I don't know if people just don't know. Question 3. What would you use to row a boat? Ed, you're absolutely right. Now, you've done a direct message, which actually maybe isn't a bad thing, because you're keeping your answers secret. What would you use to row a boat with? Okay, there's a few answers coming in there now. That's a little bit more simple.
Maybe when there is a prize for this, we will keep the answers going direct to.
Yeah, that might make more sense, doesn't it? And then you got it. What is a lover's argument commonly known as? Well done, Ed. What is a lover's argument commonly known as? Are you checking YouTube as well, mate?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Divorce? No, not divorce.
Right. Okay. No, I can't see very many correct answers, but we are going to go to this one. What links all the answers together? Now, if you don't know, just put "don't know," and then I'll go back over the questions, and we'll see if we can get it a bit clearer. And we got any idea what links all of the answers together?
Maybe give the answer to the first question. It might help.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go back. Right. So question 1 was, in 1984, Stephen King released a book about a car. What was it called? And the answer was Christine. So question 1, answer Christine. Question 2, what drink is known as the original Irish cream? One person got this right, and the answer was Baileys.
I got it right in practice, don't worry. I knew that one.
Baileys. Question 3, what would you use to row a boat with? Many of you got this one right. It was an oar, or oars, if you like. And question 4, what is a lover's argument commonly known as? And the answer is tiff. So 1, Christine. 2, Baileys. 3, or 4, tiff. Anybody know what links those together?
Just have some dance music.
Remember, this is a financial show. Have you got any ideas? No, Lewis doesn't know. The answer is they are all central bankers. Christine Lagarde. Question 2 is Baileys. So Governor Bailey of the Bank of England, the head of the central bank in their region. Question 3 was the answer was Orr. Yeah, so Orr. We've got what was his name? Orr from Australia.
New
Can't
Zealand.
remember New Zealand, sorry, all from New Zealand. Can't remember his first name. And finally, it was a lover's Tiff Macklem, which is the head of the Bank of Canada. Right, now let's see if Jeff's are a bit easier.
I don't think so.
Right, the second time.
I'll give you a hint.
No, don't give him a hint. Don't give him a hint. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, so yeah, write the answer down. No, that's fair enough. Okay, that is a good hint. So the first one, you get the idea, I thought. Okay, so what term describes the measure of the final goods and services of a country? What term describes the measure of the final goods and services of a country? Ed is correct. Paul, you're not correct. Ed is correct. Okay. Second one. What do central banks buy during a period of quantitative easing?
You reversed my question.
I tried. I read it loads of times, and that just doesn't make sense.
It does make sense. They liquidate these things when they're doing the opposite.
Well, that is true, actually. Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, maybe I should have left it. I don't think so, because you made it easier. It would have been confusing and harder the other way, which is that's my thing, you know. Okay. Paul's got gold. Question 8. When we look at a currency chart and bars go up and down, what are the movements showing the change of? I don't think that's particularly well written, but
now put mine up.
Okay, so Ed, that's not the correct answer, but actually the answer won't be a problem. Now the 3 of those is what links the answers together. They're never going to get this, so let's go through. Okay, what describes
if they listen closely to my answers or to your answers?
Yeah, they might well do. Okay,
they might.
You give the answer. So, what term describes the measure of final goods and services in a country?
GDP.
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 GDP. What do central banks buy during a period of quantitative easing?
Or what do they sell to curb inflation?
Or what do they sell to curb inflation? Yeah.
Bonds.
Yeah, bonds, Lewis. You got it. You got it. Do you know what the reason I changed it, mate? Is because they don't always sell them to curb inflation. They might just raise interest rates.
No, didn't I say what can they sell?
yeah. Which is, all right. Okay, third, when we look at a currency chart, bars go up and down. What are the movements showing the change of?
Price.
So pips would have worked. So what links them together? Anybody know? You got GDP, you got bonds, and you got price.
GDP, bonds, and price.
Inflation.
GDP.
This is not inflation. No, G for GDP, B for bonds, and P for price. It's the pound. GBP. I think you guys probably prefer when John does the quiz.
Yeah, John, come get back quick.
Well, we tried. I mean, we did try. We try to make it as good as possible. Lewis seemed to quite like it. I know everybody else was probably too frustrated. Do you know? It's I do the connections round on this quiz that I do every week, and I always get it wrong. So it is frustrating. But at the end of it, you're like, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, okay.
This is very good to stave off dementia, you know.
Well, yeah. Listen to our show and it will stave off dementia. That'll do that. Okay. Let me stop sharing this for one moment while I sort out where my screens are going to go.
We haven't sacked John, by the way. He's just not available this week.
No, he's not.
Yes, we promise he'll be back with his quiz next week. Where are you up to?
Well, I'm trying to stop my share just so I can reorganize my screens but I can't seem to do that. I've lost it. Maybe you take back the screen and then I'll take back the screen.
Can do. I'm just having a quick look at the euro at the moment to see what has transpired. Well, we've hit that resistance line and bounced off it as we anticipated we may, but we can't trade that at this point. What we can do is wait until, I'd like to see this candle close above the trade line, not up here, but here in this vicinity be good. And then the next one, pull back underneath, maybe even take out, no, I don't want to take out the low because that doesn't give us any room. Just a little pullback under the daily pivot would be good. And then a bull bar that fails to take out that high. Well, that would be good. We could trade that, then trade through that level if you want, and take your first profit at that level. That would work for me. That's a little bit in the future, of course, but that's what I'm hoping to find. The Aussie, there's nothing to do on the Aussie. Just watch that do its thing. That said, yeah, look, there's no reason to think this won't go to this trade line. So there's no reason to tighten anything. I've already tightened up my stop loss so that we can only win on this trade. I think the original stop loss was down here somewhere. I've moved that up. So we've taken profit and we are in a net positive situation if we get taken out. So that should work. I'm tempted to move my stop up here, but give it a little bit of space. I think that's wise. We're underneath yesterday's candle. If it goes to there, then this is probably going down this way. And if that's the case, I'll still be looking to trade this long on the back of a higher low off this bottom, off this double bottom. So this may not be the ultimate higher low. We may get another one over here, and I'll be awake for that. But that's going to take some time, of course. Was there anything else I was wanting to trade on the 30-minute chart? I don't think so.
We've got a quick update here on the FTSE as well, mate.
Yep, right up.
Okay, so this is where we are. So now we're in profit. Now we're doing okay. I mean, I'd quite like it just to edge down to this point. And as I said before, I'm I'm trying to change this year where I just wait for target to be hit rather than messing with the trade. But we're getting pretty close here, and I think because of the move up, I don't know. It was a little bit spooky. I think the thing with it is that the hourly is starting to look very, very weak, and really, I wonder whether we are going to come down and oops, I just messed that right up. Don't do that.
Like a bit of a clean out bar to me, mate, that one.
It does, doesn't it? And this is the I wonder whether we're still going to kind of like hit this pattern down here. So I think that there's enough room just to leave this alone and see what happens. But it does look pretty weak this morning. And you know, I wonder also whether I might even add to the position if it pops up again, just to kind of clear this bottom one out. But we'll see what happens because it looks weak. It does look weak. It looks like we should get our profit this morning. Obviously things can turn around, but the good thing now is that we are in the right zone, and if we now need to hedge, we'll be hedging in profit rather than against anything else. So it worked out in the end, and I suppose, well, currently it looks like it's working out anyway. I suppose this is the thing about being patient and maybe sticking with things rather than getting too spooked out.
It's very easy to spook when you're in an uptrend and price smashes through the highs. It's very easy to get spooked, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, the thing is, I mean, that is, as I say, that before, that's the point that I would have to look to hedge, because you know, it's just it could really go against you at that point and really get out of whack. But right now it looks okay. I'm just going to leave things as they are. I mean, things are back within the zone, which is good. Up here, it is spooky, but now price is under this particular level. that looks like we may well just kind of like be in a bit of a pattern holding range or something. And there is this trend line down here as well, which may well get hit. You know, we'll have to see how things transpire. But I just wonder whether that CPI, how significant, Lewis, is that CPI? I think hugely. I really do. When we kind of look at this, let me see if I can bring this up. Messing anything over here. So this is what we're talking about today. You see over here, what we see is this is all wrong. Oh no, that is right. That is right. Yeah, what we see is at 1:30 UK time, the CPI number, and I do think that's significant. They're predicting for it to be a dip down to 0.4, but if that doesn't happen, then it just puts more pressure on the Fed. And the truth is that the Fed don't really want to raise interest rates. Nobody wants to raise interest rates. They certainly don't want to go aggressively. Okay, they might be okay with raising interest rates, but the question about transition between having extreme liquidity, really, and extreme loose policy, to having to tighten fast, is likely to send shockwave through the economy, and that's what everybody's concerned about. And I guess with the inflation narrative, one of the reasons that a company like Unilever is so far down today. Where are they now? Actually, they're only 1.5% down, 1.15% down. So they're not anywhere near as bad as they initially were. But one of the significant things about a company like that is that they do sell some upper line products. So if you are a consumer and money's getting tighter because interest rates are starting to go up, and CPI numbers are considered to go continue to go up as well. If you are a consumer, then you start shifting to cheaper products, and that's the sort of thing that starts choking economic growth. So the Fed are all too aware of that, and it's a tightrope. This thing really is a tightrope. So inflation numbers are big because firstly, are they again elevated, which is suggesting more of a squeeze on the consumer, and then secondly, will they then jump up the the interest numbers just to curb that inflation, meaning businesses have to readjust their profit lines because they're now paying more on the debt that they've probably acquired a huge amount of, meaning that goods again are going to go up, and then you just get this kind of feedback loop. So it could really get out of hand. So the CPI number is I think it's a huge number, and it's not necessarily going to have a huge impact. It all depends on what that print is, but it's uncertainty, isn't it? We don't know what that print is going to be. If the print is high, there's going to be a big reaction. If the print is low, there's going to be a big reaction. If the print is in the middle, who knows what's going to happen? But the point is, we are questioning what that number is going to be. And I think that number is going to be closely watched. Core CPI as well today, unemployment claims. Governor Lowe later. Yeah, look at this. These are our questions. Bailey's in there. Bank of England Bailey. We've got Governor Lowe.
Generally are, right.
Yeah.
And GDP.
And GDP, what is that?
Well, certainly GBP is.
The GBP's there, yeah. Now in about 10 minutes time, we've got Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking as well, again adding a potential bit of uncertainty, so maybe that'll just quash the FTSE. But if he comes out again and he says, you know what, we're going to have to be really on a hiking cycle here for the UK, then that's going to affect business again. So all this stuff adds questions. And one of the things that I think that maybe we miss out on in trading is that we can actually trade the question and not necessarily the result and the answer of that question. Trading the news is not necessarily that we go, that's the result of the news, let's get involved. We can say, well, what's the psychology here? Does it add some uncertainty? Are we at a point of resistance and support? Because that may well be more likely to hold if there is uncertainty, when there's questions in the market, because obviously if somebody comes out and says something that you don't like, you're caught in a position that you don't want to be in, and you could get run over. So a bit of profit taking may well be on the cards here, and that, it looks like that's what's happening, you know. So yeah, CPIs and Governor Bailey, I think, are significant interjections today, personally.
You want to have a look at the Nasdaq for Lewis?
Oh, of course, yeah. So the Nasdaq's got a little ways to go, but again, you know, oh look, we're there now. We're at the monthly pivot. We've created this double top, if you like, and it looks like we've also got this trend line possibly coming down here as well. Yeah.
Can't see that screen yet, mate.
Oh, sorry, of course you can't. Here we go. This is where we got it. So the Nasdaq has hit that monthly pivot up there, and as I say, it looks like we've got a bit of a double top kind of looking chart going on. We've got this trend line coming over here on the hourly. What's it look like on the 4 hourly? Yeah, this is the pattern. This is a pattern. Yes, it looks like a you know, if you're looking to make the bullish case, that looks like a cup and handle.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're on the neckline of the handle. So is there likely to be some retracement here with some you know, relatively important numbers coming out? You'd think so, you know, so that would lead us down again, possibly back to the weekly pivot before it jumps up again, or it might just float around here and create this bull flag and shoot through from there. You know, we just don't know, but my preference would be aim for it to ease away. Aim for it to ease away into that announcement while we're at significant resistance. Support line, sorry, a resistance point here on the trend line, resistance point here on the monthly pivot. I'd be much keener to see if this would come down from this particular point. And remember, we're not looking at the big picture here. We're just looking at the day's picture. And the day's picture suggests to me that that the uncertainty would potentially provide people with taking profit. And the other thing that we have to consider is this here is because of let's do it with an arrow. This here is because of central bank involvement in the markets and what central banks are likely to do. Bond purchases diminishing and the announcement of interest rates. This is what this is about. Why is that being triggered? Because of inflation. What have we got today? A report on inflation. So now we're starting to sort of say, okay, well, psychologically, we know that today's number is being watched. We don't know how significant the reaction will be until it's released, but we know it's being watched. And that's when I start going, we're at resistance and that number's being watched. Suggests to me that we probably will see some people taking some profit here. Not anywhere near where I'd like it to be for the out and out shorts, that'll be there. But there's nothing to say that the short couldn't start to kind of like kick in here, you know. I think the same with gold, same with silver, that they'll all have that same kind of feel about them. I would have thought today, if they're at significant levels, and I think that, you know, there's no argument that the monthly pivot is a significant level for a trend. So so that would be my take on it, mate. I'll be looking at the short for the Nasdaq for a short time period anyway.
There you go, Lewis. And Paul P already missing John. I get it.
Yeah. I
get it.
Well, yeah, we get it. We get it totally. It was needs must today.
We'll put that one back in the filing cabinet for a while, mate.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, let's kick it off then, mate, and we will we bid you all a fantastic weekend. Stay safe in the market. Think about what you're doing. Try and plan what you're doing as much as you can before the event. Not easy if you're trading on shorter term time frames, but just try and get your actions in the right way. You know, try and your habits. That's the word I'm looking for. Try and get your habits working correctly. Oh, actually, just lastly, while I was looking at this, I was thinking that there's a little trend here also on the 15, and that has now been broken down. You can see there. So price is under that point as well. And that will create a little measured move potentially.
Nice.
Yeah. Take that ray off. This gives us the measured move. I mean, there's the break there, but it takes us under the weekly pivot. If that is where it is, I mean, it might be a slightly different pattern. Could be something like that, which just broadens it out a little bit. And there's your breakout there. So it could lead us down here. So I think that there's a few technical cases to be made for some downside, mate. But, you know, I could be completely wrong on this. And I think this is the thing. You've got to kind of do what you believe to be right. But this is where we start saying, let's look at the technicals and say, you know, what's the chart telling us? Where does it look like there's an opportunity? If we are looking at the short, it looks like there might be one along there, which would coincide with this as well. So that looks to be a opportunity for a short on the Nasdaq. Even if you aim for the daily pivot, that's 50 pips. Where you go in for a 1-to-1 at that particular point if you're not expecting it to get above the monthly. So yeah, I'm going to trade the uncertainty today, and we'll see what we get.
Right, mate. Thank you as well for the quiz and for, of course, being my trading buddy, and everyone else in the room for being our trading buddies. And that's about a wrap, I think, for the week. I'm just watching for all of those market structures to break down and the breakouts to either prove themselves as true breakouts or false breakouts. You know, I rather trade the false ones than the real ones, but we'll see how they go. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for your company. We'll be your trading buddies again next week, of course. And in the meantime, be kind to each other. Bye-bye for now. Oh, I've got to end this thing, haven't I?